Welcome to Cryptids of the Corn. Each week, Justin and Jay take a look at a topic in the crypto and paranormal world. They focus on the Midwest and Appalachia of the U.S., but sometimes they venture out with everything from well-known monster sightings to one-off cryptids, live person interviews to actual fieldwork sneaking in some science lessons. There's sure to be something you'll enjoy. Please join us this episode of Cryptids of the Corn.
Great and powerful mystery.
I am the genius Jay.
I'm Emily.
And together we are Cryptids of the Corn. But this week, we're joined by a very special guest, our good friend, Ralph. Say hi, Ralph.
Hi, I'm Ralph, and I'm going to wreck it. And you're watching Disney Channel.
Oh, I love it. I wasn't prepared for that.
That's funny.
I've been thinking about that for like the past couple of days.
Oh my gosh. You're getting something at Crypticon that says Wreck-It Ralph now on it.
Yeah.
All right. So, Ralph, you've been a member of our page. You've been a friend of us. You've been a listener for a long time. I think you were one of our first more active members. The four I can think of were you, Daphne, Rachel, and Sean. We're kind of the first four that were kind of hanging around the page, talking a lot.
Yeah.
So sorry this took so long to get around to.
That's totally fine. You know, thank you for like helping me break my shyness shell, like of talking to internet strangers. I guess in this case, it was really worth it, unless like something really bad happened.
I don't think I'm going to eat you, so I think you'll be okay.
Yeah. I could hold my own.
That's what I'm going to say.
Out of the three of you, there's only one of you I'm very afraid of.
It's Emily.
Yeah, it is. Destroy me.
It's the RBF.
Yeah.
It's always the quiet one. But no, I'm really appreciative of you guys and everything you've done. Like, podcast wise, I don't really listen to a lot, but what I love about you guys so much is all just like the diverse information that you provide, especially with cryptids. You know, I'm a big Bigfoot guy. I think everybody knows that from the Facebook group. But like what I appreciate, like I said, I appreciate a lot about your show is just the diversity in cryptids and topics. It's just it's always different. And there's a lot of stuff that you guys cover that I like really never knew about, and I love it. And just the community that you create is so awesome, and I just really can't express how appreciative I am.
Ralph is the best at making me blush.
Words, yeah.
Well, thank you, Ralph. But why you're here today, why I've dragged you out of your shell, is we're going to talk about your home state of New Jersey and how weird it is.
Yes, the Garden State.
The Garden State. So out of some of the weirdest states I can think of for at least folklore, cryptids, hauntings, that kind of stuff, Ohio obviously comes to mind for us. Wisconsin, New York, or New Jersey, those are the three that really popped to me in my head. Yeah, of being the all around weird states. Like there's like you can think of like the Olympics out in Washington and stuff like that, but it's just Bigfoot.
Just Bigfoot, yeah.
You can think of like the out west, it's just aliens, or skinwalkers. But true, there's not a lot. Those three states have a ton of diversity, and I think it's because of their really weird and sometimes horrible history. Your home state, we've talked about it before, the Pine Barrens, and how horrible the history is out there. Whole towns dying and stuff like that, giving up.
And, well, the whole Northeast you got the witch trials and stuff up there. The whole East Coast is full of a lot of rich history when it comes to that sort of stuff.
There's a lot of stuff thrown in. I think that, all states are weirdly equal. You just have to really dive in and do your research. And you do a great job of that in most of your episodes. There's a lot of states that didn't think much going on. Here you go. You're pulling out this one cryptid one week and another one the other. But I think every state has something like special to it. It's just a matter of finding it. And like me, I born and raised in New Jersey, and I take pride in a lot of stuff. Like the book that we'll be going over today, We're New Jersey, that was like one of the first, I guess, like cryptozoology paranormal book that I really got into as a kid. And I hold it dear to me, so that's why I know a lot about the stuff in it. But I'm sure that could be said for like the version of Ralph that lives in like, I don't know, Idaho or like Oklahoma. I'm sure there's like someone like me like that, if that makes sense.
Yes. I think you're perfectly hit the nail on the head that every state probably has about the same amount of weirdness
to it
if you know how to look for it. Like, there's a lot in Florida that just doesn't get out. Like, one cryptid we recorded today, it'll be out before this episode is out. I guess it's a Patreon episode, so it's Pinky, the St. Johns River monster of Florida. If you're not from St. Johns River, you do not know about it. And absolutely. It's crazy. It's full of history.
I was just saying, even if you are from the St. Johns River, you might not know about it.
I only know about it because I like to fish down there.
Yeah.
But as Ralph said, he purchased a book and sent it to us, this weird New Jersey book, and it's an amazing gift. I'm very honored he sent it to us.
With goodies.
Oh, yeah, and the baked goods.
Non-poison, non-anthrax baked goods.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know if they're full of mercury or whatever yet. I haven't died from them, but they were great. I ate them so fast.
I don't think he breathed the entire time he was
the
them.
peanut butter ball things were the best. All right, Ralph, you want to pick our first thing we're going to cover?
Oh, wow, you're going to put me on the spot like
I told you I was.
Okay. So we're going to start off really, really small. And I believe it's page 14 is the Devil's Tree.
The Devil's Tree.
Oh, yep. Here we go.
I believe it's in Bernards Township, New Jersey. It's down one of the major highways for me. Well, I live where I don't know if I'll disclose where I live just yet. Maybe later on. So when people, I don't know what your listenership is like, but when less people pay attention to the episode, maybe I'll name drop where I live. Even though I don't think anybody's really going to come and get me. But down, I live in a very rural area of northwestern New Jersey. And there's, a lot of highways that connect everything. So I have to go a ways to get to the main highway. And going down that main highway, it leads to this town of Bernards Township. It has this park, which has it's called the Devil's Tree, which, a very brief history is just that it's like a cursed tree. And that whoever tries to cut it down is going to die eventually. Well, I mean, we're all going to die eventually. I don't know what the rapidness to cut down this tree. I don't know if it's like instantaneous or if it's, within a specific amount of time, kind of like one of those like horror movie like The Ring or something. But, as a little kid when I read this book, maybe I'll give a little talk about how I got into the topic later. But like I said, I read this book at a young age for the first time. Probably had to be like 10 to 12 maybe. And I remember just being so baffled that if you tried to cut down a tree, you would like die, and like how this tree has been struck by lightning multiple times, and it's just like it's just crazy folklore, and it's taken very seriously. Like I've seen that a lot of teenagers vandalize it, not like they try to cut it down, but like they spray painted it, and the town has like fenced the tree off so that people like don't try to vandalize it.
Oh wow!
I'm assuming so they feed into like the folklore of like trying not to like kill yourself because of the tree. So yeah, that's just like the first little story that it's always interested me, and it's just like I said, it's crazy to think about that. Like there's this tree that if you try to cut it down, you're going to die. Can you imagine you're just trying to survive in like the 1800s, and you try to cut down the tree? And,
dead.
It's the Devil's Tree. You die. It's just a random tree.
Yeah. Whoops, you're dead.
So in the Midwest, we have devil trees, but they are a little bit different with the start of their folklore. So if a tree dies in a cemetery, and then out of the stump, a pine tree grows in a cemetery, that's a devil tree. And there's actually one in Hardin County. Our buddy's dad is buried there. And it is the weirdest thing, and it looks spooky. It feels nefarious. It doesn't, it's just one of those things.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You don't know a lot, Jay. I'm just going to be honest.
I know this. I know nothing.
I don't know a lot either.
If it's fish related, you do.
Most
or
likely. Salamander. But
I feel like that should be, I guess, the botanist in the group. I guess I should know more about the tree, if anything. There's just like a lot. Like I quickly glanced back down the book. There's like instances where like in the middle of blizzards there'll be no snow around the tree, or someone reported seeing the mark of the devil and like 666 in the tree, like glowing.
Oh, glowing
so
even.
It's just absolutely insane. It's just crazy to think about. It's just a tree, but it's really not just a tree.
Dang, yeah, I'm reading about it right here about how it's very warm. It says some people call it heat rock. The rock right next to the Devil's Tree. There's a rock beside it.
And it used to be the KKK hangout.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that might be a thing we might touch upon. I feel like there's a lot of instances of like the KKK hanging around the area, or like some other really sketchy people, just I guess hanging out in the more rural, remote areas of New Jersey. So, that's another thing. Maybe it reminds me of like that video that was viral online. I believe lightning struck this one tree where the tree was on fire on the inside. I don't remember.
Yes, I've seen that.
Well, we just had that happen at my dad's.
I think it was lightning that caused that,
Mhm.
or like there was a physical cause, but like still, like just to think about, like just like it's not just a tree, you know.
It also makes me think in Cades Cove in Tennessee, there is a lightning rock, where every lightning storm, this one rock keeps getting struck by lightning. The whole edge of it's burnt. Like it I showed it to Emily. It looks charred. It's just a rock, and they finally figured out why a couple years ago. There's a huge copper deposit right under it on the surface. So it's basically a big lightning rod.
Wow.
But it was like the people that lived in Cades Cove believe it was a cursed area because it's like every lightning storm, you watch that piece of hill right there, and it'll be struck like 4 or 5 times in one day. And they finally figured out that it's literally a giant chunk of conductive metal is right on the surface.
Just sitting there waiting.
All right, Jay, where are we hopping to next? Pick a tab.
Well, I was just still reading here on the devil's tree. It says, "Don't pee on the devil's tree."
I think that's a fair warning.
That's probably instant death. That's definitely instant death.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like the electric
Worse
I was
fence.
gonna say-
On the screen.
Worse than cutting it down.
All right, Jay, you pick one.
I'm going to pull open this next tab here.
There you go. What do you got there?
Oh, the gates of hell.
You have your own gates of hell, huh?
Yeah, well, like I said, you know, every state's weird in this way, but New Jersey has one. What is that? That's like a...
Let's see here. We're on page 25 and 26. Or 24, 25.
Yeah, that's actually a little bit closer to me. It actually might be in the same county as me. You know, some of the counties in New Jersey are a little weird. They're small, obviously, but like some of their shapes are a little weird. So this one's actually in the same county as me. Yeah, it's really weird. You know, as you can see with the picture, it's just like a deep, dark tunnel like under this town.
Mm-hmm.
Is it?
I've never had any experience, but like it's definitely a creepy tunnel, and like, you know, after listening to some of your subterranean episodes, like maybe there's something going on.
Yeah, where's it going, right?
Do I think it's a gate to hell? No. Do I think it's a really like scary dark place? Yes. Is there something down there? Probably.
So what was it built for? Do you know? I guess I could physically
Actually, no,
read.
you know, I guess we're all going to learn together.
There we go.
know?
Jay, do you want to read the description?
Oh, yeah, sure, I can. You want me to read just out
Just that little part.
Okay, this beginning part. It says, "The gates of hell. There is no better. No.
You're reading like Justin.
Yeah, I am.
There's no wetter.
There is no better way to prove one's courage than by walking straight into the gaping maw of hell. The gates of which can be found in the town of Clifton in, how do you say that county? I'm going to leave it to a...
Oh, it's Passaic.
Passaic County.
Yeah.
This legendary passageway leads to a network of underground tunnels and storm sewers, and some say the lair to the evil one himself. Bum, bum, bum. You might think the gates of hell would be a common nickname for any dark and foreboding entrance to the underground, but in all of our years of research, we have found no other subterranean passage in the state with the same moniker as this Clifton site. It is a very old tunnel with an arched stone ceiling about 8 feet high. The light quickly vanishes behind you as you enter, and soon you are enveloped in total darkness. Even without the presence of Satan himself, it can be an extremely dangerous place. The tunnel system was built as a drainage runoff for a stream called Weasel Brook, and during heavy rain, the usual trickle of water through the tunnel can almost instantly turn into a raging torrent. Generations of local teenagers have told stories of what lay deep inside these darkened corridors. Are their tales an accurate depiction of what lies beyond the murky threshold of the gates of hell, or are they a window into the dark fears inside us all? Ooh, that's pretty deep.
Yeah.
So is this one you've been to?
So I've seen like the entrance. Do you think I went down there?
No.
Yeah.
So
Like I said, you know who's down there? Probably Pennywise the Clown.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's what's down there. Giant drain. You know, we all float to. Yeah, I ain't going down.
So
exactly.
Me and Nick were kayaking on a piece of the Hocking River that most people don't kayak, and we found, and I'm going to assume an ancient sewer system. It was all hard brick. It was probably 4 foot tall, like tunnel. And Nick's like, "Well, let's go in there." And it's pitch black. It stinks, and it looks like it's 200 years old, and it's brick. And I'm like, I'm not going in there. First off, I don't know what's in there. Second off, if it caves in, nobody knows where we are. We're going to die in there. Third off, no.
Just no.
And then Nick disappears. He's like, "Oh, okay." And then he runs out, and just disappears in this thing. And I'm like, he's dead. Something grabbed him. And I did go in probably like 30 feet, but not past where the light didn't reach.
Yeah.
And then it opened up into like all kinds of a network of things. Like you go left, right, straight, and then it did it again. And I'm like, oh, this thing is massive.
You should have explored that.
No, I don't want to die. Like Ralph said, you don't know what's in there.
Well, that's the mystery of it all.
Survival, that's what I'm about. Mm-hmm. Keep trucking. But, we probably won't talk about the Jersey Devil since you guys have done that episode already. Thank you so much for doing my episode for that too. But, maybe the Jersey Devil uses that as like, his like secret bachelor chamber or something.
Oh, there we go.
A creature like that would use something like that for the winter, especially. Because, those deep underground things like that don't change temperature very much in the winter.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could see it.
Sustainable.
Especially if he's a giant bat.
The hammer-headed bat.
Yeah.
What are you looking at now, Jay?
Oh, I was just flipping to... I read that little note because Ralph has this whole book littered with little notes, and it's pretty awesome. It said you'd been there. You've been there before. You said it's close, it's creepy, but not too creepy. But you didn't go inside.
Yeah.
So Ancient Mysteries is where Jay's hands are. That's one of his favorites. I think the next page is Stacked Rocks, it looks like.
Yeah, we don't have to really go over rocks. Like I said
okay.
Before, I was just like, obviously I highlighted like kettles, but like, it's just a hole of water in the ground. I guess it's kind of mysterious. Like, yeah, some rock formations you could think about being like, oh, that's crazy. Like, obviously the pyramids are absolutely crazy because look how like perfectly shaped they are and giant, and like look at the time they were made. Well, some of these rocks in the woods, I think that they could be easily accounted for by glaciers. It's just like
glacial erratics.
Yeah, the glacial deposit. It just randomly dropped it in a really crazy way, And some of it is a little different. Like obviously, there's the stone living room, which I highlighted. That's actually in the town that I live in. I guess I'll have to drop it, but yeah, the town of West Milford.
There we go.
West Milford's. For the longest time, everybody was like, "Oh yeah, West Milford's like the largest town in the state." And then, like, preparing for this episode, I looked it up, and like West Milford's like only the 8th largest. But like, it's pretty big. I think it's like 80 square miles, and for our other metric users, that's around, I believe, 208 kilometers squared. I believe.
You can flip. You can do that fast in your head. You're amazing.
Yeah, no, what a scientist I am. Clearly I do a lot of statistics and analyses, but
okay, so
back on topic. I'm not going to gloat too much. We still have to save my personal stories. Yeah, as I was saying, so there's the stone living room. I think that's page 39 in the book. That's it. So like what I was saying, West Milford's pretty big area-wise. It's definitely the largest town in the northern part of the section. That's a little bit of a beef. There's a North and a South Jersey. There's a little bit of debate. There's a Central Jersey. I definitely think there is because there's definitely a transition. But in the north part of the state, it's very like, mountainous and like deciduous, mixed hardwood forest going on. There's valleys, whatnot. There's a lot of like these rock type formations and scrambles going on. And one of the state forests in my town is Northern Green, I believe it's called Northern Green State Forest. And there's this stone living room setup where, you can't really explain who set it up. Obviously, it was probably just a bunch of people. I don't think aliens just decided to set up this, nice looking living room half circle on top of this mountain. But it's still like pretty cool. And, it just like kind of adds to that folklore. And obviously it's a big tourist trap. It is still standing to this day too. I actually hiked it last fall.
How big are the chairs? It's hard to tell by the picture. Are they like...
They're big, like big lazy boys, if you think about it. Obviously, like some of them are a lot larger. Like, you could fit like it's a 3-person recliner couch almost, if that makes sense.
So Sasquatch sized?
Yeah, it's that's the thing. It's always Sasquatch. Yeah. That's at least like, for people who know me, I try not to be too crazy with like the whole Bigfoot stuff, even though it's kind of like a personality trait for me. But I don't let it meddle my professionalism with work, being like a wildlife biologist type or scientist. But yeah, that's my answer for everything. It's always Bigfoot. It's always Bigfoot. That's always what did it.
That's one thing I was going to tell you. As another scientist type, we used to have to do everything in grams and stuff like that for weights and fish and stuff. And I would always write the ounces, and I'd leave a note for the lab tech to be like, you figure it out. Because I'm covered in mud. It's 110 degrees. I'm like, I'm not sitting here and converting all these.
Yeah, no, whatever happens in the field, it goes.
I'm like, you're sitting in an air-conditioned room. You can sit there and figure out what this the conversion.
You can punch the calculator buttons for me.
Like, when it's hot as hell outside and the bugs are biting, or if it's freezing rain, whatever conditions, like, hey, however I'm writing it's however I'm writing it, and if I have to fix it in the lab, that's fine. I'll fix it in the lab. Now, those conditions.
So in Chicago, when I worked, the two biggest problems in Chicago is it's always so hot and humid in the summer, and the second thing is most of their streams are armored and channelized, so there's no tree cover over top. So it's basically standing in waders in the middle of a field pushing a big metal cart and then sorting fish in the middle of there's just no trees. What are you looking at, Jay? You found something else?
Well, I think we talked about at the beginning about the holes, the blue holes.
Yeah.
Which
the kettle.
Yeah.
Just the whole.
We don't have to get in that. But it is interesting, though, that there seems to be a few of these, right? Or is there just one?
So there's just the Brock kettle. I believe that's Hardyston. That's Sussex County. That's the county west of me, towards like Pennsylvania, and like there's like a point where New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania all kind of have like kind of like that tri-state border area going on. So I think it's closer to that. But yeah, like I guess like I feel like everybody has like a hole or swimming hole or something that a lot of people have died in, and
they just disappear.
Yeah, northwestern New Jersey is just littered with that, like people going in swimming holes and just dying, But I feel like I said, I feel like that's like every swimming hole in like every state.
That is true.
It reminds me of that video where you see like the hole and then people go swimming in it and then end up in some hole on the other side somewhere else.
Okay, this one looks interesting.
Yeah. So I'm now on page. Oh gosh, where are the page numbers?
Top should be up here.
So I'm on page 54, albino encounters.
Oh, yeah. I had a feeling that would come up.
This picture, first off, I know it's a bunch of people wearing weird, like, gorilla-like masks with baseball bats, but this is terrifying.
Yeah.
This is like a fever dream.
Don't even get me started. I just like got over COVID and I had fever dreams. And it is absolutely insane. But yeah, there's a lot of this going on. Like, we'll touch probably upon it later, like with Clinton Road, but like there's always just these accounts of like I'm sorry, I almost cursed on the podcast. I don't want to demonetize you guys or anything. There's just a lot of random stuff going on like this, like just like a group of albinos coming out of the woods and like attacking people with baseball bats, or like obviously like the clown phase of, I think that was 2016. That was pretty prominent in the area too. So there's just always like a weird like group of people emerging from the woods, like, or just something like that, whether it be Klansmen or albinos or clowns just coming out of the woods and like ambushing people. And that's like very like I feel like it happens a lot in like northern New Jersey for some reason.
I think that's just a small town thing.
Because there we go.
Would people really get hurt and stuff?
No, I haven't heard of anybody actually. Yeah, mostly scared, but like can you imagine your car didn't start? You'd wonder, but thank God nobody's been reported hurt.
Like, we have Mongoloid Road around us. It's that one road, it's always that same kind of storyline, like you're saying, that this mysterious group of people, if you go out there, they'll chase you down and get you. And it's always somebody weird like albinos or monks or Mongoloids. It's always
cult
an
members.
oddball. Yeah. But, Jay, I would like you to read the title of this little section right here because it's amazing. You don't have to read the whole paragraph, but I want you just to read that into the microphone for me.
Okay. Beware the midget albino cannibals of Boonton.
Midget albino cannibals. That's a t-shirt if I've ever heard one.
Yeah, that should be its own book.
I don't know if I'm scared of a midget albino cannibal.
I'm pretty darn close.
That is true.
I think I could really kick pretty hard in a situation where I needed to. I guess if they're coming at me with guns, it doesn't matter.
You should read that. I just kind of skimmed over that story. I think we should read it to the audience.
All right, Jay, read that.
All right, just that little blurb.
Yeah.
Let's read this.
So this is the story of the... Read the title again. I love it.
Beware the midget albino cannibals of Boonton. Am I saying that right? Boonton?
It's Booton, but I give you credit.
Booton.
You know how many times a day
we got a little southern twang up here.
All right, some Booton. All right. A few years back, my friend's mother was driving down a back road with her 2 kids in the car. A gang of midget albinos emerged from the woods and grabbed her son from the back seat of the car. She drove off, and a few months later, the boy's body was found. As my friend tells it, it appeared they had eaten him. I'm not sure how true this is, but he has promised to find me some newspaper articles from when it happened.
She just let them eat their kid.
So he emerged from the woods and grabbed her son from the back of the car while she was driving.
Okay,
Why wouldn't she go back and get her kid?
I don't want to be offensive to anybody, but if somebody grabs my kid, and especially albino midgets, I'm just gonna waddle after them. They don't run very fast. First off, second off, they're not that big. Just take your kid back and walk away.
I think he might be.
Yeah, exactly. We are like Sasquatch to them.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah,
it's like taking your kid back from a raccoon. Just take him back. She didn't want the kid.
Maybe that's what it's. Yeah, this sounds like an elaborate story.
Oh no! Bring Timmy back.
Who stole him? It was this albino midget.
Cannibals.
The albino cannibals took him.
Oh, wait. That may be my favorite story in the book.
I think we're figuring this one out.
There's so much good cover art.
Words in there.
There's so much good cover art in this book.
Oh, there definitely is.
What'd you find now, Jay?
Oh, I seen you had a little note here, and this is on page 60. Page 60. The Legend of the Mysterious Jackson Whites. I don't know much about it, but there's an interesting picture here. But you have a little note here that says you believe you might have went to school with a descendant.
Yeah. So I hope that we're not really getting into offensive territory here with this. I apologize if anything happens, especially with demonetization. So, but like basically, when people talk of Jackson Whites, at least in my region of the state, or like this area, they're referring to like inbred people.
Oh,
so that's what
okay. But inbreds all the time,
but not like how like obviously like I guess Jackson White would be like a derogatory term for that, but also like that like it is a group of people who have lived in the area. And like I'm saying that like I believe that I did go to school with somebody who was like a descendant of a Jackson White. At least like I was told from secondhand. Of course I never went up to the kid.
Right.
Yeah.
So I heard through the grapevine.
We personally know an inbred.
I'm sure we all do.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you the two you personally know.
Yeah.
Do I know them?
Yeah, you know them. The one has a forehead 2 miles wide.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Let's just move on. You basically, anyone that's from here that knows anyone knows exactly what you're talking about.
So so this is an inbred family from the area, and I'm guessing that eventually they kind of integrated back with society.
That's exactly what's going on with this story too. I feel like it's just like the tale. Like this title is just given to them, and it's a tale that is like could be placed anywhere, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because like Kentucky has the blue people.
That's
but there's
true.
actual pictures of like them being blue.
Blue, yeah, that one's pretty cool.
Or like social outcasts, like mix of like Native American people, or just like immigrants who just did not fall in line with like the society at the time. I believe they like retreated to the mountains, so it's kind of taking like a turn. It's, for me at least, it sounds like if you've seen like the Wrong Turn movies almost. That's kind of like the direction it's heading in, like the social outcasts going off and living in their own community. And of course, like in your own community, there's going to be interbreeding going on.
Yeah.
And the tale just goes that so much genetic mutation is going on. But it's like I said, and I make a big deal of it, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. Like I said, I think it's just more folklore in the area.
I think it's more common than people realize too, especially from the 1800s on. Like the mid 1800s to the early 1900s, there was a lot of that happening in the U.S. And there's kind of this weird like self-alienation going on in that time. The country just it was having a civil war, and then after, people kind of retreated into their own little communities. The only problem with that was those communities weren't very big.
Too.
It was all mostly one and a half families, and you run out of other people really fast.
It is funny too, because from our town, I mean, a lot of people. If that person over there isn't your cousin, their cousin's your cousin. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no, it's impossible.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
that is like such a big thing, like with my family. You know, there's a really big joke running that like the Greens and like the last names of my like family cousins on the Green side all crossed over the land bridge with the woolly mammoths and like the short hair and stuff. But no, like it did take me a while. So yeah, I don't know how deep I'll go into my heritage, whatnot. Like, so for my mom's side, I'm like 50% Italian, and it took a long time for my dad to like open up about our heritage on that side. So I'm like a big mix of like a lot of European stuff, like English, Dutch, Polish. And I also found out that we have some Native American and, you know, like that bloodline as well. You know, I guess I'm kind of not doing any justice to my fourth grade teacher. She made us do like this big New Jersey project. So like at one point I didn't know the history and all the stuff of New Jersey very well. And obviously now I don't. So, you know, if Mrs. Ford, if you're still with us, you know, and if you're not, God bless, you know, I'm sorry if you're rolling. But yeah. So, like I said, the Native American heritage on my side is like just like the Lenape people, or just the Lenape people, which is it's an Algonquin tribe of the Native American people here. So, like that's like a lot of like the Native folklore and legends come from that. But as like I was saying, I know I diverged a lot for like with the heritage and stuff. But as I was saying, like there's just so much that I didn't know, and there's so many family members on the Green side of my family that I like, you know, just find out throughout time. It's like crazy. Like I remember being in middle school. And like I had a family member pass away on my dad's side. I believe it's like his uncle or aunt or something. And at that funeral, like I was seeing people that I was seeing like every day, like grade school or middle school. And, you know, I come to find out that we're basically like cousins to an extent, you know, whether it be like second or third or something. That's just like baffling, you know?
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of that going on with like my family. They're like in this area, there's a pretty good chance I'm related to a lot of people. And I'm very fortunate to find out that like, you know, I'm not related to my girlfriend at all. That's very good to hear.
Yeah.
So,
you don't have to share any information about her, but is she from a little bit farther away than you are, like from the area, or is she from the area?
No, we're both from the same town.
Okay, I went to the other side of the state to get Emily.
Good job.
Just to make sure.
Just to make sure.
The gene pool here was getting pretty limited.
It was worth the extra effort.
Yes, it was. There you go. There's a compliment for the episode.
There's definitely a lot of parallels so far between like Ohio and New Jersey, I've noticed so far.
So Ralph, what's the next one we're doing?
If you guys wanted to, we can jump over to some of the UFO stuff, because I think like we're at this point we're kind of just going through like my notes, and I think UFOs are like next on the topic. But to keep going what you said about Ohio and New Jersey, like yeah, New Jersey is just like I guess a miniature Ohio with like the shore, you know, like we have like an oceanic shore.
We have an oceanic shore. Jeez.
Huh?
We have a bunch of shore.
Prehistoric?
With what?
Was it like prehistoric?
Oh,
that
no.
What you're saying?
No, the Great Lakes.
Oh.
The whole top of... Yeah, the whole top... I was just picking on you. The whole top of our lake is... I
was talking about, like, you know, the ocean.
The true ocean.
You know, like, I have the potential to be attacked by a shark. You have the potential to be attacked by some, like, river monster that Jeremy...
We just had a bull shark, like, 3 years ago in Ohio.
Yeah, why is that not shocking? And why am I more and more afraid of water every single day?
I love it. Catfishman, that's going to be an episode coming out soon, is bull sharks of the Mississippi. They used to be a lot more frequent in Ohio. But now we seem to get one in Ohio about every 4 years.
Wow. That's terrifying.
And they have to follow, it's 36 locks they have to follow to get up to here.
That's ridiculous. That's a man on a mission.
Yeah. Well, they're just following the boat.
Before like Bigfoot and like cryptids, sharks were such a big thing to me. Like that's the first Jaws is the first movie I remember watching as a kid, and I can't believe my father scarred me like that. Like, he's completely messed up my life, man. Like I will not. I'm like okay, yeah, I'll go in the ocean and get splashed by the waves a couple times, but like once I get past like my waist and I start feeling the water hit my stomach and chest, like that paranoia just hits so hard.
Yep, Jaws is out there.
We just went down the shore. Like I would not go in the bay at all. Like, you know, we took the boat out and people were like treading water in the bay. And I was like, absolutely not. I'm not.
I used to swim out to the second sandbar in Florida to shark fish. And I had a big bull shark come check me out one time. That was scary. She was really big and we had a dead shark with us. And she wanted that shark and I was not giving it up. I've caught 2 bull sharks. Basically when they come past, you take the butt of your rod and you bump them really hard behind the eye. And the second you do that, they take off, you won't see them again the rest of the day. It's because in their brain, they're normally not being predated on. So once you initiate the first strike, you just became predator. They don't want to deal with it. So they just leave. The other littler sharks are harder to work with because they don't have fear, because they don't care. The big sharks have a little bit of fear. Just so you know. Black tips, I've been almost bit by so many black tips. They come right in because they don't look. They just come in mouth open and hope they catch something.
So there, we learned something today. If you're in the ocean with a shark, go for it.
A bull shark.
Oh, okay.
Hit him really hard behind the eye.
Or you know what you can really learn? You can learn from Ralph, and you just don't go in the water.
Yeah.
That is the best advice. Don't blame the shark when you go into the shark's home.
Not true.
But there's shark-infested waters.
There's no such thing as shark-infested water. There's people-infested waters. The sharks live there.
Tell us how you really feel.
I hate that saying in Florida. Shark-infested water. Anyways, we're here for New Jersey.
Yeah, we're back in New Jersey.
There's sharks in New Jersey, so it's okay. We didn't go too far.
Okay. A lot of bull sharks. Jaws was inspired by a bull shark.
Yes. Oh, another good story we could talk about, maybe, even though it's not in the book. But
Oh, it's all good. This is your episode, so.
We'll diverge again.
So, what page are we going to? Did anybody know?
I think we could.
You want to do some UFO stuff?
It's like, I think 82 is kind of the start of like a lot of like the bigger stories, or like I guess more consistent UFO reports were coming through, and of course, like that happens to be a little bit closer to where I live. Again, there's like a handful. There's a lot of reservoirs around where I live, especially in my town. We have like 4 predominant ones where the water for them is used for like a city in New Jersey. It's called Newark. Like it's the watershed property of Newark, I believe. So like even though we live in this town with the reservoir, like we ourselves would have to pay to put a boat on those reservoirs, to fish those reservoirs, to hike those reservoirs, and even to hunt in the woods in those areas of those reservoirs. So like I said, it's a big deal. But that's not to say like my town, West Milford, and like the Highlands region of the state is very big in protecting our natural resources. I believe it was 2004 is I have it written down on my computer here. We passed the Highlands Water Protection and Planning Act, which regulates the Highlands region of the state, which this encompasses probably most of northern New Jersey, and basically it's just protecting all of like the natural resources and a lot of the natural areas in the state, and it has allowed like a lot of developing not to happen anymore, if that makes sense. So we haven't really built a lot of things in new places. We've like taken down old places and developed them, but we haven't like taken away from natural areas, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
We take watersheds very seriously here in North Jersey.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a good sign.
Yeah, more states need to be doing that. Ohio was one of the driving forces a long time ago for the Clean Water Act and stuff like that. But a lot of states, it was too late. Like we were just, I don't know, did we get that on an episode today about the hair lip sucker and stuff?
No, we talked about it beforehand, I think.
Okay. So the hair lip sucker and the Scioto mad toms were discovered basically the same years they went extinct. So Ohio was just on the precipice of ecological collapse when we actually started taking stuff seriously. We lost so many species that we will never know about. Like literally, I think the Scioto mad tom was discovered in March and declared extinct in August. There was Troutman harvested 13 specimens, and he regretted it because he thinks they were the last 13. He just found them all in one riffle and was like, okay. And then they went back and they could never find them again. So they were extinct. But they
Gone.
were, yeah. All right, to UFOs in New Jersey. What do you want to read, Jay? The Roswell.
Yeah, the first one you have here is the Roswell of Ramapos. How do you say that?
It's okay. The Ramapos. Ramapo mountain chain is here in the northern part of the state as well. It's a little bit south from me. But yeah, the town, there's a town of Wanacue, and then there's the Wanacue Reservoir. And that's kind of like where this story is going to be taking place. Again, that's not one of the city water reservoirs I was telling you about, but it's just another large reservoir in the area. And they had a lot of reports of UFOs back in, I believe it's like the 60s and 70s. Yeah. And I remember having a teacher in high school. So I didn't go to my town's high school. I went to a private high school in the county closer to the city. Bergen County it's called. It was like not like super urban. It was just, I guess that was like the richer county. And there was a teacher who lived in the town that encompasses this reservoir, and he would talk about like these stories too, which is just pretty cool. Like, you know, I guess it was cool that he didn't like write it off as like people like hysteria or people just, you know, smoking pot at the time. Like, I feel like in the 60s and 70s, that's always like what people would like give credit to, like, well, in the Bigfoot stories, like, oh, people were just stoned, you know. And he like, yeah, there'd be the lights over the reservoir and they were weird, you know. It's not like it's not like he fed into it, but it's not like he like shut it down. So I would really appreciate that.
Yeah, that's always nice to find a middle-minded person
as a teacher, even.
Yeah,
he was a cool dude. He was a driver ed teacher too, so I guess he helped me learn how to drive.
Do you know that story well, or is it anything like, or is it just lights over the reservoir kind of?
It's kind of like the whole lights over the reservoir. They talk about like, you know, obviously seeing like the flying saucer type during the day. I believe another account is kind of like, not like, I guess like the mothership idea, if you could think about, where it's like the ring of lights and like, you know, obviously kind of like more like those really squished triangle shapes put together. You know, UFOs, okay, so I guess we'll talk a little bit more about me, but with me and UFOs is like, I don't really, like, I enjoy hearing about alien encounters, UFOs and whatnot. It's, you know, it's not really my cup of tea because I guess it's become very accepted nowadays, if that makes sense. Like, people are like, yeah, aliens and stuff are real, regardless if it's actually like, you know, little green or gray men and like flying saucers, or if it's just like, you know, a single-celled organism or amoeba out there in the universe. Like, it's highly likely that there's life besides us out there in the universe. So that's why I like kind of stray away from UFO stuff. Like, I find it interesting, but it's just like everybody accept it, you know. And I kind of like to go against the grain, and which is why like I entertain Bigfoot so much, because like, and it just baffles me that people are not accepting of Bigfoot when it's just like, but that's just like a big monkey. Like, and you're telling me you believe in like aliens outside in the universe flying metal discs, you know.
It's a funny comparison.
I know, and the big thing is like, Bigfoot-like creatures existed relatively recently. Stuff like Gigantopithecus and even Denisovans were large people. So I don't get where if a true Gigantopithecus was standing, we think they could have been up to 16 feet tall.
Yeah.
So that's way bigger than most Bigfoots. So we already know a primate that big can and did exist. So I don't get the big fight like of the possibility of it existing.
It is funny though. I think Ralph made a good point that people will acknowledge aliens being real and existing more before they will Bigfoot, and they're both in that realm of unknown.
Yeah,
but they'll easily accept. Okay, yeah, aliens, sure, yeah.
The government talks about UFOs. The government does not talk about Bigfoot.
Exactly, yeah. Which that could be the big thing.
Also talks about a lot of stuff that like, we won't get too political because like, obviously I don't want like the CIA, not the CIA agent, like the dark government agent listening into the episode and just to completely delete all your stuff off the internet because of this. But like the government says some other things that are, you know, not super trustworthy. And I'm not like saying I'm super anti-government and like anti-trustworthy of all the things, but like, you know what I mean? You know, like,
I don't know what you're talking about.
You have to take it with a grain of salt.
Everything.
And
the government's never lied to us once.
It's like, yeah, one of my favorite shows is The X-Files, and it's like, trust no one, you know?
Yeah.
So,
the truth is out there.
The truth is out there.
And, but like, I won't discount anybody's UFO reports, because it's definitely highly likely. I do think, I didn't really want to talk about it too much, but I definitely like attribute it to like somewhat of a fever dream state, or just like completely like being disoriented when you wake up at like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Ooh.
I remember just like, okay, yeah, I guess we're getting into it. So like one time I thought maybe I saw a UFO from my bedroom window flying by, but it could have been a shooting star. Absolutely. Could have been just like me in like a disoriented state. Absolutely. Because that's happened to me before, but it just looked like 3 or 4 lights of like a really tight line just zooming by like just a faster speed than like the star and like the airplane. But like, I say that like, oh my God, I saw a UFO? No. Because like, what like evidence do I have of it? Like, I kind of just discredited that story myself in a couple seconds by saying like, yeah, I wake up disoriented at 3 o'clock in the morning, or like, you know, maybe it's a fever dream, maybe it's just like, you know, my imagination. It wasn't like, I don't think I was like a young kid. I feel like I was probably like 16 at the time when this happened. So like, you know, but like they do say like, I do have that feeling of being watched at night, you know, because I have woken up like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, but I'm not going to say that aliens visited me. I've never had like that experience.
Mm-hmm.
But I've definitely experienced that feeling of like being watched or like waking up like at the random hours of the night.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows? Maybe I have been paying a visit, or maybe I'm just crazy. I'm probably just crazy. I think everybody knows that already.
Oh, believe me, one of us wears a tinfoil hat, Ralph. So it's okay.
And that's okay. That's fine.
But I got a question for you, and we won't go into it. You can't ask me any questions about why I'm asking you this question. At least why we're recording.
It's okay.
When you seen that thing, did you happen to have any amount of nitrates in your house or around your house at that time?
That I know of, I don't think so.
Is there a fertilizer plant or anything like that nearby?
No.
A dump?
No. There's actual, okay. Yeah, there's a dump less than like an aerial mile from me.
I'll tell you why later, but that's enough of that. That's for an episode that we're recording tomorrow.
Oh my God, I can only imagine.
It's our next UFO episode, and I think I've researched this a lot. I think we will be the first ones to ever come out with this theory, and I think there's a lot to it.
There's a lot to explore, that's for sure.
Come out and say that aliens are after cow poop or something.
Biofuel.
All right, on to the next topic.
Okay. So where are we going now? We did aliens over the reservoirs.
Yes. Who are you asking here? Are you asking me or Ralph?
I'm asking everybody.
I want to make sure that everybody gets like their pitch in, because like I said earlier, I think once I kind of get rolling on the Bigfoot train, that's where we're gonna end.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have a lot to talk about for the Bigfoot.
Oh yeah. Let's see here. There's other UFO. There's a lot of UFO sightings in here.
New Jersey and New York have a lot of UFO sightings.
There's groups dedicated to like looking up in the night sky. Obviously, like there's stargazers, but I do think there's some like UFO people who are dedicated to just looking at the night sky.
I don't know about New Jersey per se, but I know New York has a really big, basically video camera array that's just pointed up over a couple cities because they have so many UFO sightings, and they've recorded a lot of weird stuff in the sky. No Jersey Devil yet, though. That'd be a good one to get flying over.
Wouldn't it be? You got the Tom Rivers UFO sighting. You said not too far away from you on this one. Page 91.
Okay.
Do you want Jay to read this little blurb? Or are you?
Sure. Oh, wait. Say again. Sorry.
All right. So do you want Jay to read this little blurb, or do you want to take it, or?
No. We'll save my beautiful reading voice that isn't post-nasally at all for the special topic I'd like to go over. But I just wanted to point out that when I was talking about that UFO type mothership before, that picture on the page is what I was talking about.
Okay, that kind of deal.
That's a pretty common like UFO shape or craft. That's
interesting.
I believe.
Yeah, I've only seen one UFO that I would consider a UFO, and it was it didn't have the lights underneath it, but it had all the lights around the outside. But it was huge, and it was like his one light appeared from one end, the one on the other end would disappear. And it was like a row of like 12 lights. The most I ever seen was like 12 at once.
Like a cone jelly.
Yeah, kind of.
That bioluminescent pulsing light.
But it wasn't it was just like a constant light. Like it was just a
light moving down a pipe almost.
It was just it was like one light.
Chicken Little?
Yeah, just moving across the sky,
just like Chicken Little.
The whole thing moved across the sky.
You actually fell asleep watching the movie Chicken Little.
I was out. I was actually burning trash behind the bowling alley. Well, not trash, but cardboard.
You gotta stop.
That's the only UFO I've seen is in Chicken Little.
I was burning cardboard, not trash. I don't burn trash, but
I don't burn trash.
I don't. I burn cardboard. Saves room in the dumpster.
When I squint my eyes, that's kind of like what I saw. Like if half of that size. If that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. After we're done recording, I'll spoil the episode we're recording tomorrow for you. Oh no, I think you'll be excited.
I think we can roll with that.
All right. I see the big yellow sticker that says my fave coming up, but we're entering Bizarre Beast.
Yeah, so maybe we'll dance around that special topic because there are some other bizarre beasts that are pretty interesting. I guess we want to talk about.
All right,
and one of them, of course, being the infamous Jersey Devil. You guys did a great episode. Mm-hmm. If you're still listening, and this episode hasn't really been terrible, and you're enjoying Ralph as a guest, I highly recommend that you dig through the archives and find the Jersey Devil episode. because these guys did a great job of covering that topic and really, coming up with some realistic, like, what would this be? And I completely agree with it. Like, do I believe that there's a Jersey Devil? Probably. Is it more or less, like, not to spoil anything, could it be a hammerhead bat? Yeah, totally. I think that's highly likely. But I think, like, it's so entertaining to have this state creature almost, because, like, we have a national hockey team.
Yeah.
National Hockey League team is literally named the New Jersey Devils. And, like, I'm not my team is the Pittsburgh Penguins, but, like, I still support the Devils. And, that's like that home state pride going on there.
Oh, you're saying I look like that thing?
Yeah, especially in the morning.
Oh, gosh. What is that? What's the name of that?
Man?
Yeah, on page 109, we got a Justin.
Ralph knew what it was immediately.
I know.
Hey, would you just look at Ralph and smile, Justin, for him?
Look at that smile.
I swear that's when I wake up and
I think that's a capuchin monkey.
See every
We
time
might have
I
to take
wake
his
up.
photo and put it on the Facebook page for this.
I think that's a capuchin monkey.
Make it a t-shirt.
All right, so like Ralph said, the new Jersey Devil. What are your thoughts? You kind of just went over them, but could it be real? Could it not be real? Could it be the hammerhead bat? Yes, no. There's a lot to that, but I think the weirdest thing is that they don't cover a lot, like we kind of talked about, is that couple days of it being sighted. It terrified the people on the trolley car. Like, it had a lot of witnesses.
Yeah.
And a lot of stories you look at, a lot of the documentaries don't really cover that. It makes it seem like a much more, not saying it's not mysterious, but it's much more unseen monster. When it really, I can't remember. It's been a while since I've done that. We did that episode, but I think it had like 100 witnesses that in one day because it flew over that town.
Something like that. Yeah.
And it had various sizes and stuff like that reported. The little one and the big one, just like the Van Meter Visitor had
multiple sized ones. Yeah.
All right. So who are we reading about now?
Yeah. Do you want to do the Hoboken Monkey Man first?
We can totally have that. I just had like a little thing to say, like, in regards with people, like, obviously, like, we have an event like that with the Jersey Devil or like any cryptid, like the Van Meter Visitor, I guess, and of course I'm gonna point out Bigfoot too, but like so many people have like seen these things, and obviously like the Jersey Devil, like, I think like the people in New Jersey, obviously like the state pride going on, and some people believe, some don't, but like they'll still entertain it. But it's just like, it's crazy to me to think that like people are seeing these things, and like obviously, some of it could be written off as like natural phenomena or natural creatures or anything. It could, like, your episode covers very well with the bats, but it's crazy to think that people like outright deny things, like, oh, no way.
Right.
There's like 100 people saw the Jersey Devil in one day, or like in a year. I don't know how many Bigfoot sightings are in a year in just like the United States alone, but
around 3,000.
And how many? And let's just say only like 300 of those are legitimate. You know what I mean? Like 300 of those are absolutely Bigfoot. I just think it's crazy that people live a life where they're gonna be closed-minded like that. To me, it's like, I want to be open-minded. I think life is too short to be closed-minded and not be curious and exploring and just, not like fantasizing, but just open to things. Like, especially like that's how I kind of take myself as, a scientific professional, is like, obviously, like, I don't spend my time as what my job right now, like, even though we hike around the woods, I'm not spending my time looking for Bigfoot and claiming Bigfoot's everywhere, but I'll be open to it. And, I just think it's just crazy that, like, there's a lot of professionals who are just like, absolutely not, like, there's no way it's real. This PhD shoved up my butt tells me it's not real.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, here's me, like, I've been through graduate school and I have a master's and whatnot, and like, of course, like, I'm not like cuckoo, like, oh, Bigfoot this, Bigfoot that, Bigfoot must be real. I'm not trying to push it. That wasn't my graduate thesis, but I just think that we just need to be accepting, have an open mind with these things. I think it's really crazy way to live life if you're not open-minded to it. Like I said earlier, like, I don't like UFOs, but I know that it's very likely that there's alien life forms. Even like, do I think like little green men and gray aliens? Like, maybe not. Like reptilian aliens, but I'm still accepting to the idea like there is other life out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I apply that to other cryptids. Like, yeah, some of it might be crazy, but it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much possible, and there's so little that we know about the world. And I think that every day we're learning new things. So why can't, like, mysterious cryptids or just these weird creatures, why can't they fall into those categories? And maybe one day it will. And I hope I'm alive for it, especially for Bigfoot. because then everybody that laughed at me will be wrong.
There you go.
Exactly.
I think you have a very valid point. Is we talked about today that most cryptids, there are weirder things in nature that we know about than most cryptids, and we discover so many new species. Like we just, we just discovered a new species of whale. I think it was last year or the year before. A baleen whale, a 50-foot animal in the Gulf of Mexico that's been avoiding detection. I know it's the ocean, it's a little easier for an animal the size of a semi to hide, but it's still an animal the size of a semi.
Yeah.
In one of the most popular boating destinations in the world, the Gulf of Mexico, for deep-sea sports fishing. Mm-hmm. So there are people passing every day, and then one time they're like, that whale looks really weird. They took a picture. It's a new species.
What are the odds?
I know. It's just weird. I agree with Ralph fully that, and I don't think Bigfoot will be the first one of these cryptids to come forward. I know it'll be the first one because I'm going to get it.
Mm-hmm. Did we spill the beans or not? No,
we're not spilling the beans. We're going on a cryptid hunt.
Oh, okay.
And we'll talk about this off air.
If the timing are right, I could totally be there to help.
Oh yeah, well, we're dragging you along.
Oh God, okay.
You just got to get to Ohio, then we'll go from there.
I love to drive, so that's not a problem.
Oh gosh, thank goodness
All
somebody
that pops
does.
into my head is that ending song in Adventure Time. It's like, come
along with me. Okay. But yeah, so why don't you read about the Hoboken Monkey Man, Jay?
Me?
Yes. Yeah, I love this story.
I love the picture. Apparently it's me, but
it is. It's
I
even
can
got
see
the
it.
curly
It's
hair
got the
and
hair
everything.
and everything. Like
hair is straight. If it had a curly top, I'd agree.
It looks curly-ish.
Okay, the Hoboken Monkey Man. Weird New Jersey has heard many tales of monkey-like men lurking around our state. Some of them turn out to be real people, apparently mentally challenged and rumored to be inbred, but hardly the bizarre beasts we've come to expect. But the Hoboken Monkey Man is a different story. In October of 1982, so that's fairly recent. Was that 40 years ago? Rumors circulated throughout the Hoboken school system about a mysterious ape-like creature terrorizing schools, attacking children walking home, throwing students out of windows, and even killing a teacher. After the rumors had circulated for more than 2 weeks, the Hoboken Police Department set up a task force to quell the mounting hysteria, and with help from the Public Safety Council. There is no monkey man. No students or children are missing, said one official from Public Safety Council. We went looking for him. He wasn't even in the streets. How do you stop a rumor that's growing like wildfire?
The Hoboken Monkey Man.
So that's the start. Is there more? Did they ever catch the guy? The thing?
No, there's never really been any other stories outside of like that. Like obviously, like could I have done better before this episode to prepare? Probably.
Oh,
I
no.
did do some research for a topic that is really special to me, of course. But,
I can't wait to get to it.
That was like the first time hearing about the Monkey Man, especially like when I got older and was really going through the book. Like that was the first time about it. And I think it's crazy. So Hoboken is like a super developed like city. I guess if you can imagine parts of like New York City, like how like they show Spider-Man like the alleyways type, that's kind of like what Hoboken is in New Jersey. So like you just think like just a picture like that Monkey Man just running around like parts of New York City like Spider-Man style.
So you're saying he's still around?
Oh yeah,
there's a good chance. Yeah, he escaped to Ohio. I just read it.
Isn't Hoboken like the town in every movie like that people are from? It always seems like
I'm from Hoboken.
Everything is like Hoboken, New Jersey, like from a movie. I don't know. It just seems like I noticed that a lot.
I think Marvel had something in regards to the Avengers with Hoboken, or at least close to it. Because Hoboken and all that, they're really close to like the city. It's right across the river from like Manhattan.
Oh, okay, that's probably why all the references and stuff.
Big deal, yeah.
Do you think it could have been something like a gibbon or a larger monkey? I don't know that.
I would say yes, but then I also read the little blurb under this story, and this man was talking about late at night. I'm gonna just quickly go through it.
Yeah.
What's the name of the voice? But basically, it was like late at night. This man, he was out and about, and he saw this other man standing outside who like had normal clothes on, like you could tell, but I guess he just couldn't see his head under the streetlight. And then when he saw his head under the streetlight, it was that head of like the Monkey Man.
It was Bubbles the chimp, Michael Jackson's Bubbles.
Yeah, he escaped.
He used to dress him up like a man.
Oh my gosh.
Was that the monkey hand's name?
The chimpanzee's name was Bubbles.
Yes. We try to be
I thought
sensitive.
that was one of his kids.
No, his kid was Blanket.
Yes.
What was the
Blanket,
other one?
Paris, and
I don't know. The other one doesn't talk to anybody. All right, what other bizarre beast
remember.
do we have? Ralph is itching at the bit to get his big one.
That's all right. Don't worry. We'll get to it. There's
Oh,
the
I'm
bird
excited.
beast.
is his big one the Bigfoot, or is it one of these? Like
Where's the bird beast?
The bird beast is 111.
Yeah, it's over here.
All right, Jay Bird, why don't you read about the bird?
You want me to? Okay. Okay. Now I think you said it earlier. Wanacue?
Yep, Wanacue. You got it.
Okay. Strange bird-like creature of Wanacue. During the 7th grade, I had a science project to identify and categorize as many insects as I could find. As any local person would tell you, Wanacue was the insect capital of New Jersey. I decided to go to Dead Man's Pond, a piece of swampland accessible by a tiny dirt path. With my trusty net and killing jar, I traveled to my destination and got down to business. Not 10 minutes into my endeavor, I noticed this huge shadow moving back and forth across the pond. I look up and saw the biggest, scariest bird-like creature with glaring eyes gliding silently across the pond. It looked like it had fur rather than feathers, and its wingspan was about 20 feet. I beat a hasty retreat. Since the Route 287 project came to Wanacue, most of the swamplands had been developed, destroying any research that could be done to find out if indeed anything strange was living there.
Who else likes swamps and is covered in fur and has a 20-foot wingspan?
Bat Squatch?
The
Mothman.
Thunderbird?
Oh, Mothman.
Oh gosh, we all named a different cryptid.
That means we're diverse.
Yes. No, it sounds like the Mothman.
It does sound like the Mothman, doesn't it? Especially the silent...
I'm fighting the urge to sing the song.
No, please don't sing the
Oh,
song.
me too. I like every single. It's so catchy every episode. I love that song.
That was horrible. I love that episode, but that was a lot of work.
That song's been stuck in my head for a month.
Yeah, and like that also makes me think of like with like a creature like that. There's, it hasn't really been mentioned. I guess I failed to mention it too. But there's definitely like some not like major cave systems going on in this region, but there's definitely some like minor caves. Definitely like something, whether it be like a creature like Mothman or even like a Bigfoot could definitely be living in some form of cave. Or there's definitely like stuff out there that nobody's really found or explored. And, so I could definitely see something like that going on in a story like this.
The cave systems under New Jersey are very unique. As far as we know, we always like to tie everything back to the Mammoth Cave system. As far as we know, they don't connect. But there was one spot, I think, was it the Dover Demon episode?
Mm-hmm.
It was Dover, Massachusetts, though.
Yeah.
But it looks like there may have been a stretch of the Mammoth Cave arm that may go up there. We don't know. I really feel like most of the ones under Appalachia, I mean, they stretch all the way up to New York and all the way over to Chicago. Mm-hmm. So who's to say it doesn't go to New Jersey? Mm-hmm. But yeah, it sounds very Mothman-y, very Thunderbird-y. The silent flapping, the big eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, what did everybody remember about the Mothman?
Its eyes.
What do you think it
And
was,
the
Ralph?
bridge.
The eyes and like obviously like the whole giant bird description. That was always, I feel like, a big thing.
Yeah. But do you think he's the Mothman, or do you think it's a different thing?
Would it be cool if it was the Mothman? Yeah, but I think it's a different thing. It's a New Jersey thing.
Okay. We're keeping...
I was thinking it might be the Sandhill Crane.
Oh my gosh. What was the name of the guy I was ranting and raving about? You got me all fired up before we ended the episode.
Robert L. Smith.
Was that the teacher or the biologist?
No relation.
Oh, that might have been the biologist.
Yeah, the laziest biologist ever.
Yeah. He was the one talking about the bird.
Oh my gosh, that was the dumbest. The other guy was the balloon thing.
Yes.
It's
that was
a
the
balloon.
teacher.
All
Or
right.
the science club janitor.
I think we need to get into Ralph's A team, his golden star animal.
No, it's okay. We still have
Okay.
Clinton Road. We talk about Clinton Road because that's a big.
Oh, okay.
deal,
Yeah.
so.
Where are we going for Clinton Road?
Clinton Road. That's page 200 or like 200 to. It's a big section of the book actually.
Gotcha.
200 to 206. But there's a lot going on. So like when you talk about like I guess, paranormal stuff like that in the state of New Jersey. Like, obviously, you think of like the Jersey Devil. You know, like you guys covered that, and I think a really big thing is it's called Clinton Road, and that's in my town, and it connects. So in my town, there's like, you know, like I said, it's pretty big. So there's like a valley part of the town, which is where I live, and there's also like up the mountain, which is like you go up the mountain of the town, and that mountain connects to the New York State border. But up on that mountain, there's this road that goes all the way down the mountain and like towards the west, and connects to that major highway system, Route 23, which leads to 287. And so it's basically like a 10-mile stretch of like 2-lane woods road, you know, just like one car on each side. And there's just so much like weirdness to this single road. I've driven it during the day, and it's pretty eerie. I've driven it at night, and yeah, it's definitely pretty creepy. I've never personally had any experience on it, but there's so many stories. There's, you know, stories of a wolf with red and yellow eyes chasing you, or a white wolf with red and yellow eyes chasing you, or a ghost wolf with red and yellow eyes chasing you. Stories of different trucks, ghost trucks following you and tailgating you and flashing you. Stories about albinos coming out of the woods. Stories about the Ku Klux Klan being out in the woods. Stories about the mafia and the Iceman dumping bodies in the woods out there.
Oh, man.
There's like haunted castles back in the woods. This one's been destroyed. It's called Dead Man's Turn. They kind of fixed that part of the road so that nobody would actually crash, and there's actually kind of like a guardrail there, because it was kind of like a cove of another reservoir, the Clinton Reservoir, which is another one of those water reservoirs for like the city. And you know, people would crash, so they would call it Dead Man's Curve, but they adjusted that, so now it's kind of less likely that people crash. It is really notorious for speeding. There is a lot of accidents on this road. There's more stories. I believe one of the big ones is there's kind of like another edge of the road that kind of like it's like kind of almost like a bridge, because like the creek and the reservoir. And there's a story that about a little boy who he got hit and drowned in the reservoir. I think he was like picking up a quarter or something, or some kind of coin. So there's a tale of like, if you flip a coin or something and mess around, that he'll push you off the bridge so that you don't get hit by a car. Yeah, so there's like a lot of stuff. I'm probably missing at least something, but like I said, there's a lot of like phenomenon going on, and there's a lot of stories of people being followed by ghost like headlights or ghost, you know, trucks and stuff like that. And like I said, there's definitely a lot of stuff going on back there. It's definitely creepy. Like for the state park that I worked at in New Jersey, it was right there by Clinton Road, and sometimes we would drive along it because there is some property on it. It's called a Terrace Pond. It's a very, you know, notorious hiking spot as well, because you would climb up like this right of way in the power lines, and up there would be this cliff jumping spot, and a lot of people have died and drowned up there too. So like,
wow,
prevent people. Yeah, exactly. So like I said, that's even more to the road. There's probably so much that I don't even know, and like you know, half the townspeople are like, oh, it's a bunch of fooey, and the other people are like, oh no, it's true, don't go out there at night. And yeah, I probably wouldn't. If it was your first time, I would probably just drive in the day and then maybe go at night. It's definitely really creepy. It's definitely a place you don't want to break down, I would say.
Now, do you know how many people have died on this road?
I think it's
no. At least I don't know if it says it. I was just wondering what the body count was.
It sounds like a lot.
Because
it sounds like a good amount. Like,
you know, the body count. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, he's making a political joke.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay. It kind of just went right over my head.
I know.
You really can't see the top of my head. Oh, sorry. Like satanic sacrifices, satanic cults in there too. I just saw that. There's just so much like floating dogs. Like it's just like a ghost road, you know.
It has a very wide variety of ghost activity. It seems like. Why do you think that is? Do you have any ideas or theories?
You know, I don't. I cannot really confirm or deny any this. Like I told you earlier, there was like Native American history in the state of New Jersey, and especially in this area. Perhaps there was, you know, like how there's instances. How you talked about in their Mothman episode of like that famous Native American man that passed away. He was betrayed.
Oh, Chief Cornstalk.
Cornstalk, yep.
Perhaps there was a massacre or betrayal in this area. I feel like that's always such a highly likely cause for events like this.
Mm-hmm.
Or
New England has a lot of that.
Something gone like wrong with, like how I said earlier, there's satanic stuff going on. have something like that is attributing to this area, or it's just one of those naturally like occurring phenomenon hotspots. It could just be that,
like a lot of trauma in that past in that area.
Yeah, especially when you think about all how we mentioned, there's probably a high death count in this area. Perhaps it's just an area of like sorrow and misery manifests there, and these things just occur. But as I've gotten older, I've of course heard a lot less about it, and I think it's been taken a lot less seriously since I've gotten older, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I almost New England has this weird kind of phenomenon that seems to appear of these small pockets of super high phenomenal activity. The major one everybody can name is the Bridgewater Triangle and stuff like that. This really seems to be one too, of something scarred this land in my mind. Like you're saying, Eddie, whether it's a Native American massacre, a lot of them happened in New England. Or even, a witch burning site, all kinds of stuff like that. And something scarred it and caused a lot of paranormal activity to get locked in. Because that's a big variety. Everything from ghost wolves to phantom cars to hitchhikers to satanic rituals.
And there's been Bigfoot sightings on that road too, but I just, obviously didn't want to, make that a big thing.
And that is another weird thing. There is a weird connection, it seems, with other paranormal activity and Sasquatch in some of these cases. Yeah. Like my house was haunted, and we've gone over that a couple times, and I had Bigfoot activity. It's just so weird. Were they connected? Was it a coincidence? Who knows? Yeah. Who knows if it's just because it's really good woods? Maybe it's just really good forest.
The trees are just right for, I don't know, poltergeist activity.
But yeah, so how did you ever get out of the car on this road and go like zim zim Alabama and try to summon something?
No, absolutely not. Have I gone to the bathroom in the woods? Yes.
Oh, okay.
On this road?
Yeah.
I think I peed myself.
Like the Dead Man's Curve area, there's like an area that you can actually pull off and kind of avoid, I guess, like speeding off into like the reservoir. And you can park there. You can actually hike there. People bike there all the time, actually. And my aunt has biked down it a couple times. I'm like, damn, you are nuts. But you could like park there and I just had to go to the bathroom one day. So
did it feel weird like when you drove down that road? Like, could you physically feel like it was just creepy or odd or off-putting?
I think so. Especially like when you fully drive it, not just like partial. Like for like, So when I went to the state park, like that hiking spot I was telling you about was probably like within the first 2 miles of that road. And like I said, I told you it's 10 miles long.
Okay.
So I think like doing like that little 2 mile part, like, it's kind of just getting used to it because of work. But it's definitely like eerie. Like I've hiked back there a lot. I've hiked back there alone, and it's definitely like creepy. You get like that eerie feeling, or like even when I went out to go to the bathroom, like I definitely think so. I think you could feel it. I think you could definitely feel it. I don't know if that's just like me like thinking about it too much, but I think you could definitely feel just like that eeriness. And I'm going to really touch upon that too whenever we get to the special topic as well.
Do you have anything else before we get to the special topic?
I have nothing. I want to make sure everybody gets to talk about what they want to talk about. I know that I'm the guest here, but
this is your show. What's that? The jungle habitat?
Yeah, what's the jungle habitat?
Let's cover the jungle habitat first.
Yeah, jungle habitat. That's actually literally like how I said to you earlier. There's a dump within like a 1 mile, like air mile away from me. So is jungle habitat. So jungle habitat is literally like Great Adventure, like Six Flags Great Adventure, the safari place.
Okay.
Is what they tried to do in my town. And it was pretty good. Like my parents lived here. So this is like the 60s, 70s that this thing was around. And when my parents were kids, this was the thing, and they said it was great. Like was there some traffic in town? Yeah, but it's like they said it was great. It was good for the economy. So like I said, it's kind of like like the safari whole thing going on with like the animals and stuff. You drive, like there's a lot of old photos, like people on like their super old cars and like lions coming up to their car. So yeah, I'm surprised there's not a lot of more like horror stories. But, it's really close to me. It is like really close. It's funny because I actually take my dog hiking there a lot. And it is a very eerie place. So like it shut down eventually. I know that they had a lot of problems with animals escaping. Like
I was gonna ask.
Anybody my girlfriend's uncle is like used to live. His backyard would be close to that area, and he said that he heard like the animals all the time, or like escaped animals would, kind of pass through that area.
Oh gosh.
And there's a lot of those stories. Some of them are obviously probably not true. Like, no way people had like lions and ostriches in their yard, but I definitely believe like some small stuff escaped.
I don't know. Zoos have a lot of stuff get out and they cover it up. Like there was a hippo got out in Michigan in like 2018, and it got into the Detroit River, and nobody talks about it. They buried it fast. Not the hippo. They got the hippo back in.
I was gonna say.
Hippos. It went back in the little like travel trailer with a watermelon. They literally like had a trail of watermelons to get it to go back in.
That's awesome.
But it got out. They didn't lock it. It pushed the gate open and it walked out of the zoo.
Just walked right on out.
Well, what are you going to stop it?
Right, exactly.
It's the most dangerous animal on the planet.
Let's go pet one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can see a lion getting out. I could see one time a guy didn't lock the cage, and then I'm just going to meander on.
It wasn't me.
So that was definitely, so that was the downfall of this place, and that's why it shut down. And it's just been kind of like left to ruin. Obviously, like a lot of stuff's been taken out of there, but like, there's still stuff remaining, like the monkey cages and stuff. And you can go there, like the giant parking lot is still there. It's like obviously you can't drive up there; you have to like hike or like walk. It's not that far. But I've taken my dog back there a bunch of times. It's a great place to go on a nice little walk or like stuff with your dog, especially if you're not like into big strenuous hikes. Like I love doing that. That's my big thing. But like I love to walk my dog, and I don't want to drag him up the mountain, or should I say, I don't want him dragging me up the mountain.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a little creepy sometimes, especially when you're out there by yourself. Like, even if you're standing in a giant parking lot, it feels weird because it's like abandoned. There's grass growing through all the concrete. There's trees growing through them now. So like, you get a little bit of an eerie feeling, even though I highly doubt there's not like a super paranormal place. It's just a weird abandoned place that I wanted to mention because it's really close to me and it's like a part of my life.
And we have one of those in Ohio too, down in where'd that happen? When that guy basically had a zoo.
Zanesville, but that's the Zanesville massacre. But Ada had a zoo.
Yeah, the Ada's, yeah.
With lions, tigers, and bears.
Mm-hmm. Oh my.
I was waiting for it. But no, he had a whole bunch of bears. My grandpa was telling stories like, all of the he lost like 5 or 6 black bears. Is why that shut down.
There you go.
Because they'd get out and he wouldn't go look for them. He'd go buy another bear.
Yeah.
Because that's still when you could go down to Tennessee and buy a bear cub.
Man.
So he would just like, it's easier for me to drive to, Townsend, Tennessee and buy a black bear cub.
And try to wrangle one up or track one down.
Find this one.
That's insane. Wow.
So finally the town was like, you know what? We're not going to let you do that anymore.
My grandpa his neighbor had a pet lion.
Yeah.
Kept in the cage, and they kept it in my grandpa's barn.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I didn't go in there.
Yeah, I didn't go in there. See, exactly. It's just like the gates of hell. Like,
I didn't go in there. There's a lion in there.
Nope.
You guys crazy. All right. I think we need to get onto the...
Yes, let's get to the big
Don't
story.
mind me. I'm just preparing. Obviously, I know you guys like have the time for everything, and I don't want to keep you too long.
No. We're having a ball.
Yeah, we're having a great time.
But I'm excited. I'm excited to hear your thoughts on, or what you have to say about this.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Yeah, it's probably going to be all over the place. And as everybody who's been listening, I hope you're still with us here. Like, it's Bigfoot, and that's my favorite paranormal cryptid topic, easily. That's what everybody knows me for. It's definitely like becoming a personality trait, as much as I hate to say it. Like, my 25th birthday was last December, and like easily like a third of the stuff I got was Bigfoot related.
Hey, all right. Sounds like a good birthday.
I got some useful stuff too. At least, and the Bigfoot stuff was definitely useful. My mom was very thoughtful with her gifts, and so was my girlfriend and her family as well. But it's just like, that's like my guilty pleasure topic. Like, I've kind of like, joked about like being a scientific professional and stuff, but like, once like work's over, like I don't have to do any like reading in regards to like plants or deer or anything like that. Like, it's all Bigfoot. Oh man, I don't even know where to start this. So I don't want to, like how I said earlier with, like the UFO and the alien kind of encounters, I don't want to fully attribute this is why I say experience. In my little note I wrote experience, I didn't say encounter. And I don't really want to attribute like fully. I will not fully be like, oh my God, like I had a Bigfoot sighting experience. Will not, because like it might have not have been. And like you'll see as I go more in detail. So from a young age, like, I think it's age 10, you can start hunting legally in the United States. I think each state is different. In New Jersey, it's 10. And, that's like my thing. I grew up with a very heavy, outdoorsman and hunting background on my father's side of the family. Like all the men on that side do that. And, as soon as I was 10 years old, I was out there hunting with my dad and his cousins, his family. And it was awesome. And that's really what I attribute to what brought me to the environmental field, wanting to be a wildlife biologist and like preserve nature. And that's how I found my career path. But like, as I was saying, I grew up with this and it's what I love to do. A lot of times, I know as soon as like my dad was able to leave me in my own tree stand, we started doing that. And I can't really remember what age this was. I was definitely young because I was scared. I almost want to say it, but I'm not going to curse in the podcast. But I was so terrified of this. So I remember being in this tree stand. So I guess maybe I should maybe give more backdrop. So this town that this incident takes place is not my town. It's a little bit more west to like Pennsylvania and the New York tri-state border, like I told you about before. And this town is called Wantage, and it's in the Weird New Jersey book a lot for the New Jersey like Bigfoot stuff and the old red eye stories that come about. There's a lot of historic Bigfoot accounts in that town, like rabbits having their heads pulled off, chicken coops being raided, a lot of stuff seen across the road. And so this, where my like experience, as I say, this is where it took place in the woods of that town. And my father's cousin, his uncle, like to me, if you're an uncle or cousin to my dad, you're my uncle and my cousin, basically. And not to mention, my father and I have the same name. My father is Ralph Green Jr. and I'm Ralph Green III. So, even more confusing, sorry. Anyway, we're hunting. It's me, him, and his cousin. And a lot of times, especially when I was able to sit in my own tree stand, my dad's cousin would drive deer to us. Sorry if I just did any illegal activity or admitted to crime. But he would drive deer to us. And of course, we, it never in like an unsafe way. And I know that what I heard could not have been him because whenever my father's cousin would drive deer, he'd usually go to my father first, or at least I would see him cross me and he'd make his presence known and he would head towards the direction where my father was sitting. So that's how I rule out this. Because when I was sitting in this tree stand, this area is like, I believe I sent it to you guys, maybe the area where it happened or not, I'm sorry. But so if you can imagine, just picture like in the woods, there's 3 old agricultural fields. There's 4 of them actually. And one of them was like, this woman that gave us access to her property had like a horse farm and she would take care of her horses. So that one field, like no hunting, absolutely not. And we kind of in the next parallel field in these rectangular shaped fields, we couldn't go into, like we just wouldn't hunt them either, just out of respect. So then it goes to like the 3rd field. So it's in a line of these 3 rectangular fields. So if we're going further back into the woods, we're at this 3rd rectangular field, and a lot of like agriculture happened in the past in New Jersey. So there's a lot of stone, those stone fences, stone walls. So I was put in this tree stand where this last 3rd field meets this smaller triangular shaped field, and that leads, into the openness of all the woods in that area. And I was kind of in between the triangular field and the 3rd field, sitting in this tree stand. And the way that these fields were is that looking down them is kind of like a slight slope downhill. And I was sitting in that tree stand, kind of like looking down, like I said. And I just I heard something walking, bipedally. Obviously, being probably I had to be maybe 12 years old. At the time, it was I knew the difference between a squirrel hopping around. I knew the difference between a deer walking. I definitely knew what a deer walking sounded like because every time I heard a deer, the heart would get racing. Mm-hmm. But it was definitely bipedal. It sounded like my dad's cousin walking. Sorry, I guess that's what I'm trying to compare it to, and that probably just makes me sound bad. But that's what I could compare a person walking, and in my head, I know that it's not him because he wasn't coming from that direction; it was behind me, and obviously he knows to come across my face because obviously that's out of safety, so I don't shoot him, and so my father's also he gets his position. My dad wasn't out of the tree stand because his was. If I was looking down, it was a little bit further into that triangle field. It was definitely more into the woods. So he would be in front of me if he ever came out, unless he decided to play a joke on me and walk behind me, but he definitely didn't. So I just hear this walking behind me. It's just so slow, almost like a stalk. It was like a man's stalking something. And it's just it's kind of almost like an intimidating type walk. It was stomp, 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 stopped. It almost sounded like it was right behind me in my tree, and I remember being so scared. I think I was up in an old white oak tree. It was huge and thick, and I couldn't, like, even if I wanted to, like, look behind me, I'd probably have to really reach around the tree to see what was back there. And I just remember being so scared to look, and I just would not move. I was like terrified, like that fear, just hits. And I obviously, like, I was young. I think even this happened to me now, I'd probably still have that fear hit me maybe. But I just remember just being like almost paralyzed with fear, and I just did not want to look behind me either. And eventually, like, it walked away. And that's really it. Like, I know it's nothing too crazy or anything, but, like, as I've gotten older, I, like, reminisce on that story, because at the time, I don't think I really knew Bigfoot at the time, so that's why it never really, like, obviously, if I tell somebody that now, they're like, oh, you're full of it, it's not Bigfoot. But, like, at the time, like, I didn't really know about Bigfoot. I don't think that was the time of, so how I got into Bigfoot was Monster Quest, really. If that, or like the old Sci-Fi Channel with those movies with Bigfoot as the horror movie, that were kind of like a gag now. But so at the time, like, I didn't really know about Bigfoot. So I think, as I got older, I can't fully say that it was Bigfoot, but I think so. Because, like, I was in that area, a lot of historic accounts, and still has some relevant accounts. There's a man who runs New Jersey Bigfoot, or the Shadow of Old Red Eye. He does a good job of curating reports and taking in reports for the area. Mike is a really cool guy. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, I just think that I just had an experience, and I think I had an experience. I can't say that I have had an experience, if that makes sense.
Right.
I could have been somebody trespassing, probably, but highly unlikely, because I remember at the time it was very tight knit in that area. There's not a lot of other people allowed back there, and I really think it was. And I've had that feeling before as I've gotten older. Like I mentioned, I love the outdoors, so when I got into, like, high school or college, I played a lot of sports, so I wasn't able to hunt a lot, and that's kind of what made me choose my career path. But I also love to hike now. And especially, like, my early 20s, I hiked a lot of solo hikes. And I've had, like, 2 other instances where I've just felt that feeling of dread and fear inside of me in the woods. And obviously, like, being alone probably doesn't help. But like I said, I've done, like, probably over hundreds of hikes by myself and not had that feeling. But there's only been, like, 2 other times, and it's been in, like, closer to my house region, Wise in New Jersey, where, like, I've just had this feeling, like, this does not feel right. If something feels wrong, it's very dreadful, fearful. And, like, I turned around and got out of there. So, like, those times, I won't say that, though, because, like, what proof do I have that there was a Bigfoot near me? But that time when I was a kid and, hearing something stomping, walking bipedally behind me, I'll probably say, like, I think it was a Bigfoot. But will I go out and be like, oh, I've had this experience? No, I just think it is. I think it's likely. Like I said, historic area, nobody being there. The deer driver should be crossing my face, not coming from behind me like that. So that's my story.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It reminded me of Colt's encounter.
Yeah.
He had one of those walk up behind him and walk back, like looking for it. I think it knew he was there, but couldn't see him. So
that's what I'm thinking.
I think that you had the same thing happen. It's like, oh, I know there's a person somewhere right in front of me, but I can't find him. So they just kind of leave back into the other area.
Yeah. Or he might have got close enough to find you, and
there's like, crap, there's a kid right there.
Yeah.
And then it also reminded me of on Eric on Uncomfortable, his episode 1 and 2. They had a Bigfoot walk right behind their whole. That family set up a line of hunters, kind of like what you're describing. So each one was set up in a stage, and a guy they were each calling each other like, hey, there's some idiot walking behind us scaring all the deer. Hey, there's some idiot walking behind. And then the last guy seen it as this hulking beast. And then it throws once it's seen, it throws this temper tantrum as it's walking away. But until they're seen it, they thought it was a guy in this area that was technically public, but it was such a hard area to get to that they were pretty much the only family that hunted it. Mm-hmm. But Ralph, that's amazing. I think you experienced a Bigfoot thing.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I just remember being so terrified, like, and that feeling of fear and dread, and like, obviously, like I told you, like at the time, I didn't really know all that. I was like probably like 12 years old. Like I didn't have like this knowledge of like Bigfoot's instilling fear, like the whole like infrasound effect and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like I said, I won't go crazy about it and be like, oh, I definitely had a Bigfoot experience. Like I think I did. That's all I have to it until one day that I actually see one.
Right.
Well, hopefully we'll get you to see one. We're planning a Bigfoot camping trip with a couple people in Michigan that have pretty good
that would be awesome.
activity stuff. And Ralph's a Patreon member, and that's a Patreon perk, is you get invited to camping trips and cryptid hunts. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, everybody at home. But no, Ralph, that's incredible. What'd you say?
I said, just a little self-promotion right there, you guys.
Oh, I gotta sneak that in.
I highly recommend joining the Patreon. It's just like more great content.
Oh, thank you.
That's all I have to say.
I'm glad somebody likes it. I'm always worried. We get more free with stuff on there, like with how we talk and the topics we cover.
Yeah.
Because it's a little more private.
It's not really sheltered.
What?
It's not like sheltered
Oh.
is what you could say.
Yeah.
But I really think you have a Bigfoot encounter. I'm going to say that. I get why you don't want to 100% go on that. I've given up my science life a long time ago. But I've shared this story of the caloriticien. I worked in a lab. We did eDNA and everything like that. And nobody there believed Bigfoot. I was the Bigfoot guy, and they always kind of made fun of me for it. I was like, it's fine, it's whatever. At least I don't sit in a lab for 15 hours a day looking at bug gills. But yeah, that's awesome. I really think you had one, and I think we'll get you another one. Jay's waiting for his one encounter. Mm-hmm. We're looking at either doing Michigan or Salt Fork. Salt Fork has a lot of activity.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
I was about to say, I think I mentioned to you that I'm definitely on the BFRO blacklist for New Jersey expeditions, because I've always tried to go, but I never could. And they're also a little expensive, not gonna lie. It's different if you told me that all the living expenses to go on this camping trip might be $500. I'd be like, okay, that's awesome, because I get to have a good time with you guys, and I know you guys, and not going with a random group, and also being a stranger and being one time I tried going at 18 or 19, 20. So it's a little bit different. So they definitely have me a blacklist for their expeditions in New Jersey.
How much were they charging?
I think it's $300 to $500.
Oh my gosh!
Dang.
Yeah.
No, you just gotta buy your own food. That's what I'm saying.
I have nothing against them. I know sometimes they get painted in a bad light, especially with the show and some other things that they've claimed to have done, on Sasquatch Chronicles, some of the episodes. But
yeah.
So, I think they're a good organization. At least, somebody's putting together an archive of reports, even though they don't, accept all of them,
Yeah, we talk about that. We've talked about that a couple times on the show. The good and maybe a little bit of the negative that the BFRO does. It is good that people have a platform they can give their story to. I gave my story to them, and it's never been published.
Yeah, I remember you saying that. We talked.
Oh, yeah. Was I intoxicated?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, he tried to save you.
It seemed like it.
Okay, well, good.
Pretty cognitive.
But yeah, my story was never published on there, but others for that in the area that same year were published.
Okay.
So that's just one of some of the weird things. I don't know their inner workings. I don't know how it works.
Yours is probably a class B. Mine was definitely my encounter is a class F.
What? It's class A, B, and C, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So yours would be a class B, right?
Yeah.
Ralph's
would be a class B. My last encounter would have been an A. I physically
seen it. Yeah.
seen a Bigfoot.
I think
it's seeing it and then having secondhand account.
And
Class C is my cousin
saw
said
this.
that
Yeah.
they saw
Jim
this.
Bob down at the gas station saw a Bigfoot, and I'm here. I'm here
to report it for you.
And there's actually not a similar account to mine, but I went through the BFRO before this episode, and I found a report, in my county, very right outside of my town, close to Wanacue, we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually the stone living room area where somebody in a tree stand had one come out, but in front of them, not behind them like me, but in front of them. And the BFRO did a whole report on it as well. So I think that's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And Merced County has a few, but Sussex County, like I said, the county where I had my experience, that's a big hotspot for Bigfoot in New Jersey. And so is Southern New Jersey. Southern New Jersey is very not developed. We talk about the Pine Barrens and whatnot.
I think people lose that image of New Jersey. It has a lot of forest.
Yeah.
It has a lot of heavy, dense forest. When you think, I think a lot of people fall into the trap when you hear New Jersey, you think of more New York type stuff where it's New York, it's the same stuff. It's not all a city. It has a couple big cities in it.
Beautiful too.
Yeah,
the state of New York is very beautiful.
It has a couple big cities in a small area, and then it's pretty much just wilderness after that. 99% of the population is in a handful of cities. But Ralph, is there anything else you'd like to cover with us before we go?
Yeah, I guess I'm going to keep going with Bigfoot. I do have a pretty good, I guess we can tie it back into my town almost. So there's an episode of Sasquatch Chronicles out there. I think it's in the 80s. If everybody wants, I know I'm talking about another podcast.
No, it's okay. I love Sasquatch Chronicles.
But this story is also in Into the Fray, like the Shannon LeBrow. If you know her, she has
her birthday was yesterday. Happy birthday!
Oh, happy birthday, Shannon! But they put out a book, Beyond the Fray, where it's encounters of more of like Bigfoot and stuff. And in that book, this story is also in there too. Whoever wants to find it, but like I think the best telling of it is on Sasquatch Chronicles. I think this is Ape Canyon episode, but after the Ape Canyon experience, he brings on a guest who actually visited the park I currently work at now in New York State, which is it's basically a border park because it's close to like New Jersey as well. And he had an experience as a kid with Bigfoot in the bushes. Like him and a friend were sneaking away from the Boy Scouts to go smoke, and a Bigfoot walked out of the bushes holding like a torn shirt and like half of a dog. And like that's why that story sticks out to me, because the same person also had another experience where he wanted to go actually see Bigfoot and look for Bigfoot, and it was somewhere in my town. I believe I've located the reservoir that he was talking about where it happened, and they had them like charge down a ridge at him and like vocalizing and trying to scare him off. And this happened in my town. So that's why
I think I know exactly which episode of Sasquatch Chronicles you're talking about.
Because it's crazy that he talks about how he saw Bigfoot with a half ripped apart dog, and then he's like, "Oh, somewhere in New Jersey, and my friend and I were circled at our campfire." So yeah, that's a very memorable episode to me. And it's just a crazy experience. And like a lot of people don't think about New Jersey and Bigfoot.
Yeah,
there's a lot of Bigfoot stuff.
There's a lot of Bigfoot in New Jersey. I don't know where it ranks on the list. I'll have to look. But Bigfoots do not like dogs.
Yeah, it seems so. It's one common thing we seem to come across with.
Yeah. I think I can hear my dog barking.
I'll never take my dog on the whole Bigfoot thing. Never.
Oh, no.
I love him too much.
With my Bigfoot encounter, I would literally think the dog Lucy, that I think we were within seconds of not having that dog if we wouldn't have walked out. I really think he was really upset with her. And then we got involved, and he's like, "Oh, okay, nope, I'm not ripping this dog in half right this second."
Right in front of them.
Yeah. I really think Bigfoot understand that people are like ants. And that's why they don't mess with us most of the time, is that, you can kill one of us super easy, but that only invites a lot more people into your area. Most of the time we don't let one person go missing and not go investigate. But that's crazy. I know exactly what episode of Sasquatch Chronicles you're talking about. And
I have like a list, like I keep a record of like some of my favorite episodes. Because Sasquatch Chronicles is the Bigfoot podcast. You guys are the Cryptid podcast.
Oh, all right.
The Cryptid, paranormal, and conspiracy. How about that?
There we go.
I think that's what you guys are to me, because like I listen to Wes, and I listen to all his episodes. But I've been on top, I've ever since I hopped on, like I guess like the late teens, early 20s with you guys. Like always listen to the episode as soon as it dropped. And it has been phenomenal, and you guys do a great job. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
He flatters so much.
Yeah,
I've been blushed this whole episode.
That's my forte.
Anything else you want to cover?
No, that's all I got.
Ralph, I want to thank you for coming on. This has been great. We'll have you on again soon.
For sure.
I think we'll have a complete Bigfoot themed episode for you to come on. Actually, I'll probably talk to you here in a minute after we let you go. But yeah, we want to thank you for coming on. I want to thank you for supporting us on Patreon. I'm looking forward to the actual hangouts we have planned. Yes. I know we'd want to hang out more, but we do live a considerable distance away from each other.
Yeah, it's only like a 10-hour drive.
Right.
Nothing, not
just only.
Just only. But
I'll do it in 7.
Ralph's going to be a part of our Crypticon crew. He's going to stand in line for us to make it look like we have a line. To help with that kind of the image,
the illusion
with Sean and Rachel.
But yeah, Ralph, thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, honestly, thank you guys, because like I said, it has been awesome. The whole experience that you guys create, absolutely phenomenal, and the community you created too is just blows anything else out of the water that I've experienced. And just like, not to, break away from this, but it's episode 54.
Okay.
Gotcha.
For Sasquatch Chronicles.
But like I said, just keep the brown nosing rolling. Thank you guys. That is absolutely phenomenal and great. I can't express how appreciative and grateful I am of it.
Well, thank you, Ryan.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're definitely making us all blush.
I know. All right. I've been the great and powerful Mystery.
I've been the amazing Jay.
I've been Emily.
And I've been Wreck-It Ralph. And you are now leaving Disney Channel.
And we've been the Cryptids Accord podcast today. Thank you guys, and we'll talk to you next week.
You've been listening to Cryptids of the Corn. Be sure to join us in the next episode where we tantalize your intellect and expand the horizons of your mind. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. That helps others find the show, and we really appreciate it. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Until then, stay magical.